welcome back to Germany and welcome to Norwich City's training base out here in the North Rhine-Westphalia region. Under 23s are training behind us at the moment, so that's the screaming and shouting. The first team have already done their bits and pieces, but it was pretty light work this morning, wasn't it, Pad?
Yeah, no, it was more a meet and greet with the fans. There's some nice shots and video, which obviously PinkUn channels throughout the day. We'll pump them out once we process them. But yeah, I mean, how many fans would you say roughly?
About 50, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say about that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was quite a light session. The guys who played actually on this pitch directly behind me last night against SC Bonner. Yeah. Some of them were out here, but they were only doing really fitness work. Chris Domagola, head of performance, was overseeing that. Bit of stretching, bit of shooting practice. That was quite intriguing.
Yeah, that was great.
There was Pookie and Buendia and Campbell.
Pookie, there was one scissor kick, wasn't there, from about... I don't know, there's Nick Hayes, the academy goalkeeper, is here, and he was basically the man in the firing line. And Pookie leathered one in. It was from a good height. I mean, he was probably sort of 4 foot off the ground or something, wasn't he? Scissor kicked it in from about 6 foot away. Nick was just like, right. But yeah, that got a bit of a cheer, didn't it?
I did feel very sorry for that guy. Yeah, it was a bit of target practice going on.
You were in the line of fire as well, weren't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good seg, Dave. Yeah, no, I was sat down we've spoke to 2 or 3 of the key people, one being Daniel Farker. Had a good chat with him, a bit more reflective, obviously around the game cycle. You don't tend to get his thoughts on the whole achievement of last season, letting it sink in, what he did over the summer. So that was good. But yeah, towards the end, to my alarm, we were directly behind the goal where they were shooting into. I could see the balls raining in, and I had visions, and Daniel had his back to facing me, but back to goal. I had visions of Pookie clearing the bar and it landing on the back of his manager's head, which would have been video gold, but it wouldn't have gone down too well, I don't think, for Timo's prospects of starting at Anfield. No. So yeah, we had to clear off pretty sharpish, but that was good. And had a little chat with Patrick Roberts as well. First chance to do that. Really nice fella. Really looking forward to the opportunity he's got here now.
It's bright yesterday as well, wasn't it? It's just some nice little tricks and flicks.
Absolutely, yeah. He's impressed with the quality around him. Little tidbit, he said he spoke to Angus Gunn at length, and Angus was, go there, you've got to go there. Obviously made it quite clear he was a Norwich fan. But setting that aside, he said it's a great environment, and you'll go and working with Farker, he will improve you as a player. So that was nice. And then you had a good chat with Todd Cantwell as well.
Yeah, Toddy. Strangely enough, despite I've been reporting on Todd and academy stuff for quite a while, obviously sort of 4 or 5 years, I never actually had a proper interview with Todd, so I thought it was about time. Now that his contract issues are all done, and he was great. He's really buzzing, and talked a bit about the number 14, about him taking Wes's number, and was that a conscious thing? And you'll have to wait for the full quotes, but I think it pretty much was. He talked about how much he loved Wes as a player and how he wants to be like that kind of a player. So although he didn't want to take it last year, and probably wouldn't have been able to if he wanted to, he wanted that number by the sounds of it. So we'll have that for you, of course, over the course of the week. Daniel, Patrick and Todd all to come. The nets actually weren't that not airtight, but ball tight. Okay. Were they? Because Emmy and Pookie's shots were actually going under the net. So while you were interviewing Daniel, there was me and a couple of staff and one of the kitmen, Pete, were actually sort of getting closer and closer behind Daniel to make sure that none of the balls were hitting him.
I could see that, yeah.
So that was interesting. But that was quite good. But in general, we saw most of the first team just warming down and stuff from last night. They went on a little cycle ride as well, didn't they? Yeah. This is. I'm pretty sure it's Jay Eastoe-Smith who is the fitness coach for the under-23s. I think he is leading things here at the moment. So you've got the new players like Rob Nizzet, who's Belgium Youth International, Aidan Fitzpatrick and Daniel Edshead, who we both spoke to yesterday, didn't we? You spoke to Daniel, I spoke to Aidan, so they're on the way as well. We've got loads in the bag basically, which we'll bring you over the next week or so. Who else we've got in there? Sort of Gassana Hadme, who came in the second half of last season. Tom Scully, all the under-23s, but did also speak to David Wright yesterday, the under-23s head coach, and he sort of joked that in training last week they had like 25 players, and then this week they've had 16, because so many of the under-23s players that they're bringing in, they want them to be good enough to go out on loan. So you may have spotted on social media Anthony Spyro, who finished last season on loan at Wrexham. He has been on trial at Chesterfield and actually scored for them against a lower level team last night. So we don't know where they all are, do we? But a lot of these new lads, like Rocky Bashiri, for instance, Charlie Gilmore, both quite high-profile lads that have come in, they're off on trial basically, as far as we know, looking towards zone moves. So the under-23 is going to be really interesting this year, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was speaking to one or two of the fans who cover or like to go and watch those games at that level, and they really feel it's been re-energised. The whole approach, as you mapped out there, going out and, with the greatest respect, as they come just behind us now, but with the greatest respect to some of the maybe lads who were a part of it last season, maybe not quite the requisite quality to make the step up, certainly in Norwich's first team. You would think some of the players they brought in this summer, you name-checked them there, that isn't going to be the case. So that should mean, loans aside, whatever team Norwich play at development level is probably going to be a little bit more competitive than last season.
I think they probably just clocked us and thought, what are they doing?
I think we'll be getting asked to leave very shortly.
But we are allowed to be here, so no worries on that front. And it's actually finally warm, isn't it? When we arrived here this morning, it was still a bit chilly, but now we probably both look a little bit red because the sun is definitely trying to break through.
I've got the shorts on. I was thinking that was a bad call when we left the house this morning, but now I think the jumper will be coming off.
That's quite nice. But the fans who were here had they weren't able to come to the game last night, so I think maybe a few fans were a little bit disappointed that they weren't able to watch that, but that was very much behind closed doors, wasn't it, against a team from the 4th tier. It was something that the club wanted to keep low key, wanted it to be a training game as much as possible, but they had the chance to mix with everything there. One of the ones our photographer Paul Chesterton was just telling me about was the Bowles family, Jacob Bowles, who I'm sure most of you will know from, he's reigning fan of the season, isn't he? They've got a little dog called Timu who gets a lot of social media presence, and apparently there are pictures of Timu Pukki holding Timu the dog. So I'm sure Sharon and Andy are pretty pleased with that one. But that was great, wasn't it?
And Ralph.
Lil Kemp, she was fan of the season the year before. You may have seen the fan piece that I think it's online in about an hour actually, your time. It depends when you consume. It was midday Wednesday. No idea what day it is anymore. And that I spoke to a load of the fans before the game against Bielefeld on Sunday, and Lil had this lovely little finishing line where I'd asked her about the new players, and she said, which our cameraman Tony loves, doesn't he? She said, "Oh, I like the new keeper. He's a bit dishy." So she got a photo with Ralph. So
they've had a date today.
She was looking forward to that one. So looking ahead, Thursday, I guess they're going to be back into a proper double session tomorrow, aren't they? And then Schalke. So that's going to really step things up.
Yeah, well, we did also, Guy, we probably should have mentioned, we also had a brief chat with Stuart Webber.
Oh yeah, I remember
him. Quite important in the whole scheme of things, and he made the point that obviously the team they played yesterday and the team on Sunday, Armenia, okay, they give them a good competitive workout in terms of the physical aspect, but I think Schalke will be a noticeable step up in quality, although of course for anybody who follows a little bit from afar, who's gone in there, David Wagner, who worked very closely with Stuart at Huddersfield, and it sounds like he's got a big job on in terms of inherited a squad probably not fit for purpose, and there's a lot of work to do there according to Stuart, so they feel like they're a club in transition a little bit, but irrespective, a team who were in the Champions League last season, they're going to be no mugs, so that will be a noticeable step up, and that's what Norwich need now, because Liverpool will come round rather swiftly, so it'll be interesting to see who gets an out into, obviously there's one or two niggles. Go back to PinkUn.com. We've got the roll call from what Daniel said last night. So there's one or two walking wounded. So it will be interesting who's going to get a hit out in that game, and whether Ida, for example, whether he's done enough to maybe have a bit more of a leading role.
Yeah, I'd have thought Adam's probably happy to play as much football as possible at this point. I know he had the Toulon tournament with Ireland, but at the stage he's at his career, he just wants to play, doesn't he? We did see Ben Godfrey, didn't we? He looked fine, no boot again, and as Daniel told you last night, things are looking more encouraging on that front. Hopefully that tractor's about to drive away. Kenny McLean did have a little bit of a limp in, didn't he, when and Daniel's told you that he's got an issue as well. So
I thought Closer looked good though. I thought Closer, the little that we saw today, but he looked fit and healthy and mobile. So.
High spirits, certainly.
The new crew cup.
He was enjoying the finishing practice as much. It was him, Buendia, Pukki, Campwell. They were the only ones really doing the proper football work, weren't they? But the Schalke game, I think they were runners up in the Bundesliga in 2018, weren't they? And that's how they got in the Champions League. Right. Then they got smashed. What was it, 10-1 or something by Man City in the last 16.
With a certain individual in goal who Yeah.
Sadly so. Ralph Farman, he's going to be fired up for that one. I know it's only a friendly, but he is a bit of a club legend there, isn't he? Because he's been there basically his whole career.
Yeah.
Very high-profile player in Germany, but also Timu Pukki, of course, played for a couple of seasons for Schalke, and it was sort of similar to his Celtic spell, wasn't it? That it wasn't a disaster or anything, but it wasn't brilliant. So I guess they're both going to be keen to impress. And then that'll be it. Then we'll all head back, and there's another 4 games to follow once we're back in England. So
When is that?
Yeah, what is it? Brentford behind closed doors, Luton away, Atalanta,
Toulouse,
and Toulouse at home. So
Absolutely.
and then we can start thinking about Anfield. So one thing just to finish on, I suppose, quite nicely. From speaking to Todd, I asked him about the Liverpool game. He got to ask him, and he said that the vibe in the squad is that a lot of people are talking about how tough it is, and that's going to be really difficult, but that they're loving it. That is exactly the sort of game that they wanted promotion for, and that's the sort of vibe we want heading into that game, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, and funnily enough, on that point, put that to Farke as well. You know, in the terms of back end of last season, 2 English clubs Europa League final, 2 English clubs Champions League final. That is the power of the Premier League. And I actually couched it in terms of, is there a fear factor amongst you and your players? And he said, no, not fear, respect. And relishing the opportunity.
Yeah.
So they're all on message on that one, and that is the way they have to approach it, because yes, we all know, stating the obvious, that going to Anfield against the Champions League winners is a very, very difficult assignment, but embrace it, and who knows.
Absolutely. I quite want to see Norwich embrace the underdog spirit this year. You know, Stuart has maybe laid a bit of groundwork for that with the finances, so we shall see. Right, we are draining mobile data out in the middle of the countryside, so I think we're going to have to cut it short there. Just a quick catch up with you guys, but as we say, we've got plenty more to come. Head over to PinkUn.com for the latest, and we'll have all those interviews for you through the rest of the week. Cheers.